Recording in progress.
We're trying to find the mayor. If you'll all take your seat, we're going to start very quickly. We found him. He's on his way.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Federal Way City Council meeting on August 13th, 2024. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome, everybody. Okay, we'll go right into Mayor's emerging issues and report. You guys were all so quiet when I walked in. It reminded me of a story of I was picking a jury a long time ago in King County Superior Court, and I was in the Judge Ishikawa's court, and I walked in after lunch, and I had my box, and normally they keep the jury in the back room until we're all ready, and then the judge had brought out everybody, and everybody was all ready to go, and I walk in, and the judge goes, "Mr. Farrell, thank you for joining us." So, reminding me of that moment. So, great to see everybody. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Mayor's emerging issues and reports. So, first, I want to say, now we're aware of what happened across the world with what was referred to as the CrowdStrike technology issue. that grounded many planes, caused people for, all over the world, especially with airline coverage and all over. I have to tell you, I got notified almost immediately when it occurred. Thomas Fitchner, our IT director, who just did a phenomenal job, stayed up pretty much all night with Xiao Gao and Leif Ellsworth, who manages our community center. And in response to this worldwide technology outage, the city of Federal Way was out just a few hours. And so just a tremendous job. And we wanted to say a special thank you and give them some recognition. So thank you very much. Okay, then, let's see. Then we had, this was the groundbreaking of our new joint use operations and maintenance facility on August 5th. We've got the council, we've got dozens, if not, I don't know, how many folks do you think we had out there, staff, EJ?
70, 80, if not
Yeah.
more.
Beautiful day. I'd like to thank EJ and your team, and especially Parks, who arranged for the banner and the events and kind of coordinating all of that. The council was out there. We have been discussing this literally for 15, 16, maybe even 17 years about moving forward with the original City Hall sits there that was opened. We'll tell a funny story. In fact, John, when you first started with the city, were you at that location at 312th and 28th?
Yes, sir, I was. That was the original recreation office, and that was just before recreation took it over. That was the original city hall.
Yeah, crazy.
Crazy.
I heard when they first started at the city, when they would open the big bays, birds would fly through. They probably still do, but at that point, they were like valuable papers. Anyway, the facility there is truly outdated, and for a city of over 100,000 people, we are long since the expiration date of that facility. And so this is going to be fun. It's going to be a great facility. I'd like to thank the council for all your hard work. Steve Groom, the financial person who made, our finance director who made that all happen, and the council who worked hard to ask good questions and made sure that we followed through with our commitment to really the ambassadors to our community. So it was a great day. And that's going to be really and I want to let everybody know that while the facility is going to be about just a little bit north of 50 million, we have done everything we can to make sure that, we took out a red pen and really did as much cutting as possible without getting into the mission. So I think we're in good space. All right, next. There we go. Okay, we've been working with our legislators, and by we, I mean myself, and I asked the council for some input regarding our legislative strategies and approaches at the next legislative session. Been working with Brian and Tanya Carter, thank you very much, and all staff, really, to work on making sure that we get started thinking about what our legislative priorities are for the 2025 legislative session. We've had sessions, just on August 6th, we met with Representative Taylor, but we had previously met with Representative Reeves and Senator Wilson in anticipation of what will be our planned legislative breakfast on November 7th at the Federal Way Community Center. That's open to the public, but this work is ongoing, and we're making sure that we are that we are well situated and working on making sure that we're honing down our asks before the state legislature well in advance of that breakfast. All right, next. Okay, this is at boy, I finally had to take off my earplugs for this. This was at the NHRA, National Hot Rod Association Northwest Nationals at Pacific Raceway, something that we have been sponsoring with our heads and beds dollars that we have available to us through the state. And thank you, Tanya, and your team for this. This is really tourism enhancement for our community. There's me. They gave me unfortunately for them, they handed me the microphone. I eventually gave it back. But it was nationally televised on ESPN. There were thousands of people. That bottom right picture gives you a picture. Not only were there drag racing, there were funny cars. It is truly astounding. If you've never been out there and really felt the sound waves, it is really astounding and a great deal of power. And there were hundreds of miles per hour from a standstill. And got to meet. I bought a hat there, and some of the legends for drag racing signed it for my 17-year-old son, which I'm encouraging him not to be a drag racer, albeit he's working on it. Anyway, that was a great day and something that I think that we're really proud of the efforts that we're doing with the racing community, and that's a really big draw in the region. All right, next. Okay, this was the 68th annual Kiwanis Salmon Bake at Steel Lake Park, probably one of the most beautiful days of the year. Friday, July 26th, packed crowd, and we picture right there. Pete Van Reinkbauer and I were, and many people with Kiwanis and community leaders. Our King County Councilman was there serving salmon as well as several members of the council on the dais here. I was responsible for the salmon. Everybody had a little station, and it was fun. It was really a tremendous food, and the food, the salmon was just next. John Butcher and his wife, and the name of their company is Cafe Pacifica. John Hatcher just did a phenomenal job with that fish. Completely packed, and it was a great day at Steel Lake Park. Okay, next. This was the Hunter Wee Garden fundraising night at the PAC on Sunday, August 4th. Is about several hours. You could see Congressman Adam Smith was there, Pete Van Reinkbauer was there, members of the council were there, and the individuals that you could see there in the top left. Nationally famous in South Korea performing artists, and they, in the picture to the right, their son as well received recognition, and we asked them to be honorary citizens. We acknowledge them as honorary citizens Federal Way. The Hunter Wee Garden is going to be constructed in between the Little League, on Campus Drive on 348th, between the Little League ball fields and the King County Aquatic Center. It's going to be this beautiful facility. They're paying for nearly all of it. We donated the land. We did the groundbreaking for this several years ago. The patch of grass there will look like the Korean flag with the yin-yang symbol. And then when we had gone back to South Korea, with our sister city trip, one of the people on that trip with the Korean American Association was an architect we went into their prior historic royal capital in Seoul, and he was getting ideas on how to build this structure that will be in this park, this very reflective park, that will utilize this type of design. It's really going to be a very beautiful facility and a place for reflection in our community. They raised at least, I think, $26,000 there on that day. Councilmember Walsh was there as well, Councilmember Honda, and several other members of the council, and really appreciated the congressman and our King County councilman as well. So anyway, it was a great event. All right, next. Okay, this was National Night Out. What year was it in regard to they've been doing this, Bill, that they've been doing this across the nation?
41.
41. 41 years. Now, we've been doing this over 20 years throughout our community. You could see that we went to, there was Village Green on the left. On that day as well, on the bottom right is where one of the neighborhoods, Westridge, actually put in, they had a ribbon cutting for that HOA's cameras that they installed, what they call a FLOC, F-L-O-K, camera system. And the chief and I had gone and spoke with their HOA much earlier this year in the winter, and they're working with the police department about putting up these cameras. Their association paid for them, and it'll be downloaded to our cameras. That HOA is not going to have access to law enforcement data, but they wanted to make sure that their community is safer. And ironically, that very same day, we were actually able to, by we, I mean myself and our city staff, and Tanya, were able to sit down with one of our state legislators and ask for $200,000 of flock cameras. Now, what's interesting about flock cameras is not only does it have ALPR technology, which is license plate readers, and when we have ALPR system, it's automated license plate readers. When it's on a car, that car can read 75,000 plates per day. It's astounding leap in technology that really helps with stolen cars and missing plates and that kind of thing. But what's interesting about flock system is that even if it doesn't have a license plate, it can note that there was a sticker. If you have a particular sticker, if it'll note whether there's any body damage, and it all goes into essentially the use of AI technology in case we need to go back later and say, hey, did this particular car go through? Just next level technology. The picture of me in the middle there was being interviewed by King 5 later that last Friday. So great reception all the way out. I think Bill and myself and the deputy chief, our newly minted deputy chief, went out to 6 locations that we got to, but there were well over 20 throughout the evening. All right, next. Okay, this was Kids Day at Steel Lake Park. Okay, I got to tell you something. See the bottom middle picture? That's me sort of holding halfway, an alligator. I can now say I held an alligator. That guy right there was very entertaining for the kids. I'll tell you what's weird about holding an alligator is it's so soft and so cold. It was really weird. But then he also had a Komodo dragon that was about this big. Now, that size is going to get bigger every year. But not just in my storytelling, but in real life. When that Komodo dragon, it's only one of 200 in the world at that color. It's an all-black Komodo dragon. It's going to be 10 feet long and 1,200 pounds. And so he's literally raising a monster. So it's pretty cool. And that was for all the kids that are associated with the camp program at the community center. Big thanks to John Hutton and your team. And we found the corn dogs were there, and I personally invited them to come to our 4th of July celebration. So we've got Cassie and Abby and the whole team there, and the alligator. When he asked me if they wanted to take the snake out, I'm like, no, that's a bridge too far. All right, next. Okay, this was really one of the great events that we have. Just a picture-perfect event. Fusion over down at, they had their gala there, the Dumas Bay Center. You could see Councilmember Walsh and he's got his hat on. I picked the theme from a few years ago when they had tropical shirts. But he was true to the theme, he and Judy. And then we also have King County Councilman Pete Von Reichbauer, Mayor of Auburn, Mayor of Honor, Auburn, and the King County Assessor there in the picture, Nancy Backus, and John Arthur Wilson. And anyway, it was a great event, fun theme, and I think they raised a lot of money for all their efforts. Next. Then we had the Federal Community Festival at Town Square Park on August 10th. Diversity Commission knocked it out of the park. Former Commissioner and Allison Fine was our MC, and so proud of her and her efforts and all of the entire team. Again, the Parks Department and Cassie and Abby and all of the team and kids and community members, 60 booths. It was just absolutely an event to be proud of, and it's really about bringing the community together. The Diversity Commission just did an amazing job, and they do such important work in this community, so it was fun. And the performers were great. Allison was great, so it was fun. She always likes to give me a bad time, though. All right, next. These are upcoming issues. We've got the Lions Club Car Show, August 17th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Come check out some cool cars. The Livestream Blood Bank opening on August 21. Run with the Cops 5K, Saturday, August 24th. I think that gets started at the community center at what time? Somebody, John, what time does that start? The Run with the Cops, or Chief?
Casey March.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Yeah, right where it says 9 a.m. Thank you. All right. In my defense, I think Councilmember Dovey was. All right, exactly. All right, then let's see. Back to school free haircuts. Tuesday, August 27th, noon to 7 p.m. Town Square Park. big thank you to our sponsors there who do such an amazing job. Kristen and her team, Bella Red, and all of the stylists, and they're expecting record numbers. That's going to be, again, Town Square Park, Tuesday, August 27th, noon to 7 p.m. John, how many people did she think that we could get?
Our goal is at least 500 haircuts.
That's great. That's great. And, you know, kids just have a little bounce in their step when they got a new haircut. That's kind of fun. Okay, I think that's my report. Sorry. Overview of the budget calendar. This is a budget year, so they're coming up. I'm not going to read all those numbers. It's on our website. You can either take a picture here or go to our city website, call us, wrestle me to the ground if you see me, and I'll give you the budget. These are very important processes about how we spend our money. How you spend your money is a reflection of our priorities and our resources. And so that's going to kick off. I think I'm legally required to provide my first draft by state law, my first draft of the budget on September 1st. And then it's the councils, and they're going to be working on it, and then we're going to be presentations from each of the departments, so I encourage you to be involved and engaged on that. All right, next.
We lost it. We lost the slide.
Oh, okay, all right. All right, well, Bill and I, as well as Council President Coach Mart, went to former mayor of Algona, Dave Hill. He passed away, and he was really one of the greats in our region, in our community. He was mayor of Algona for 14 years, I believe, and we had his memorial service. We attended his memorial service at Algona City Hall this past Saturday. He was a great advocate for Algona and for the region, and he'll be missed. Okay, that's my report. Let's see here. Now, most important part of the meeting, which is public comment. Okay, everybody knows the rules. You get 3 minutes unless you're speaking for more than 5 people that are present. Please let us know what community you live in. We don't need your address. I'll read off a couple of names, and please queue up toward the back, but give each other room. All right, thank you. All right, here we go. Craig Patrick, Trinice Rogers, Jeffrey Tancredi, Bob Derrigan, Betty Taylor, and Selena Taylor, Anna Patrick. Okay, Craig.
Hi, my name is Craig Patrick. I am a resident of Federal Way. We've lived here since 1996. I'm going to talk about some of the things we've done. Old businesses, we did a cleanup at the West Hyblos area. That was on July 27th. We took out about 30 yards of garbage. We worked with Tony and George in the Parks Department. It was a really good relationship. We spent about 8 hours, or about 6 hours pulling stuff out. We're going to go back on the 14th of September to take out the rest of the garbage in the West Hyblos area. So we're looking for volunteers. Stand Up Federal Way Community is going to have a booth at the market on September 7th. So if you want to get involved and serve your community, we do service hours. So we had a couple people come out on the 27th and get some service hours taken care of. We had about 15 people in the beginning, and about 3 hours into it, we were pretty exhausted. And about 15 other folks from the Latter-day Saints church showed up, and they were like the cavalry. We were spent. And these guys came in there and started hauling all this stuff out, and it really motivated us to work for like another hour or so. But it was a real effort to get that all cleaned up. This is the first step, from what I understand, is to a restoration project happening in Hyblos. So what we're attempting to do is clean out the Hyblos of all the encampment stuff that's there. So we're going to have a booth at the market on September 7th, so you can come by and check us out. And on September 14th, we're going to do another cleanup at the Hyblos. You can park. Your parking's kind of odd on that First Avenue. So if you want to park, you can park at 35400 First Avenue. And after the cleanup, I'm not sure if Wes is watching, but we're going to have a barbecue at Wes's. So this is your notification, Wes, that we're going to be having a barbecue. So I hope you're watching. So the cleanup should go to about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we're going to have a barbecue over at Wes at 35400 First Avenue. Other than that, as far as Federal Way, that's the new business we have coming up. There's going to be a car show this weekend at the Federal Way Market. I'm looking forward to that. And if anyone's interested, there's Irish Day at the Mariners on 9/17. So you can go to the Irish Heritage Club and get some tickets to see the Mariners beat the New York Yankees on September 17th. So thank you very much, and thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Trinice Rogers. Trinice Rogers.
Hi, my name is Trinice Rogers. I'm a resident of Federal Way. I wanted to touch on a recent visitor we had at our Diversity Commission meeting. Although I'm speaking on behalf of a community member, I want to thank Tanya Carter for coming to our Diversity Commission meeting. Tanya Carter is the Economic Development Director for the City of Federal Way, and her effort in reaching out to the Diversity Commission was to really promote, in her words, minority-owned businesses partnerships. So with that, I am a community member, and I do frequent a lot of restaurants here and local businesses. And during a recent meal with my family, I did make contact with a business owner regarding some hardships he's experiencing as a business owner. He did say that he's been impacted by the construction, the Sound Transit construction, and he went on to share that because of the past 2 years, because of the impact he's experiencing with Sound Transit, over the past 2 years, he has lost nearly 40% of his business income, and that's detrimental to business. If there is any business owners here, we understand how that would impact the bottom line. In addition to that, I do have multiple family and friends that are business owners here in the community, and they have really advocated on behalf of their concerns, whether it be accessing permits and all those things that encompasses being new business owners and getting off the ground. And they have really addressed the city ad nauseum on ongoing concerns. And unfortunately, when I did share Tanya's name and information with these individuals, they have never heard of her. They have never made contact with her. And one of the very interesting things that Tanya did share during a meeting was that she is the front line when it comes to concerns in the community. And when people and individuals do come to the city with concerns, they are immediately redirected to her. And so if that is the protocol in the city currently, that system is broken. It is not working. There are business owners and potential business owners in our community who are in dire need of support. And so I would urge that we really reconsider how communication is happening when it comes to business owners addressing city issues, and also just engaging city on behalf of their businesses. How are we really carrying that message and really elevating our economic director when it comes to those issues? Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Jeffrey Tancredi.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President Kochmar, and council members. Good to see you all. Jeff Tancredi, Federal Way residents since 1997, West Campus area. Yes, good evening, Mayor. I wanted to talk about House Bill 1220. House Bill 1220, which passed a couple of years ago, allows for residential neighborhoods in Federal Way to house homeless drug addicts without the requirement for treatment. The legislature uses the term permanent supportive housing, but what it means is that homeless drug addicts will be housed in neighborhoods throughout Federal Way. Unfortunately, Mayor, nobody wants a flop house in their neighborhood. That's really what it comes down to. The homeless drug addicts need to be in a treatment facility where they can get 24/7 treatment so they can come back into society. 2 of our 3 legislators voted for this bill. I say this respectfully. Since these legislators voted for this bill, they should be the first ones to be able to have the housing units with the homeless drug addicts in their neighborhood. This way they can experience firsthand the homeless drug addicts and how they behave when they're not required to be in a treatment facility. That should happen for 1 year, and then after that 1 year, those representatives, and I say this respectfully, should come back to the council and provide a briefing to the city council as to how everything went for that past year. I said the same thing to Mr. Leo Floor, the King County Housing Director who works for the King County Executive. I told Mr. Floor several times when he came here, I said, if this is such a great idea to put a homeless drug addict in a hotel without the requirement for treatment, then why doesn't the King County Executive, and I say this respectfully, why doesn't the King County Executive have a hotel built in his neighborhood and then have the homeless drug addicts live there for a year? And then he comes back here, Mr. Floor, you can come back here in a year and then tell us, give us an update, tell us how it went. It's like rules for thee, but not for me. So anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to listen, but if our legislators passed that bill, they were passionate about that, and it passed on a party line vote, which makes it very controversial, generally speaking, and it's not only controversial, but it's political. So that's why I bring these comments up tonight. Excuse me, tonight. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Bob Derrigan.
Greetings, Mayor Jim and council members. I'm pretty excited about this event coming up this Saturday. It's our 19th car show, for scholarship car show at the mall. We want to invite you to go there. Earlier this morning, a group of us that meet each month, they're all leaders and members of the different service organizations, and we get to give each other feedback, what's going on. Well, one of the things that we do in the Lions, we try to involve as many different people in our community in the events we do. We heard of a new thing going on here at the Multi-Service Center. They're going to collect backpacks for children. So at our event, we usually have a container there to collect food, non-perishable food. So if you come there, that's what you have to pay, all right? No, you don't. Just come and have fun. But if you happen to have some access some backpacks, we like to have that in that container too. So we hope to join hands with the MSC and help them with this wonderful reach out to children. I do want to really thank our community because this project is the result. This car show, which takes a great deal of time and effort, which my Lions are totally behind us in this. But the fact that our city's involved in it, members of the business community are involved in it, individuals are involved to make it happen. By the way, we're going to have the Teenage Volunteer of the Year there and the Queen Volunteer of the Year. That's all kind of fun. She'll be there to take your picture with you. So come and dance or walk through memory lane as you get a chance to experience over 100 beautiful and enticing cars. Thank you for the opportunity to talk.
All right, thanks, Bob. Okay, Betty Taylor and Selena Taylor.
Good evening. My name is Selena Taylor, and I am from Seattle, Washington. I wanted to come here tonight to give a special thanks to one of the courageous Federal Way police officers. And her name is Sarah Montjoy. And Sarah Montjoy is a remarkable police officer that was in Des Moines, Washington, September 26, 2021, when a great tragedy happened. And it was one of my son. My son was shot and killed that night at La Familia on Pack Highway. And I wanted to acknowledge her. I heard some new news tonight, and Chief Andy messed me up, so she said that she actually was administering CPR on my son that evening. And there was another officer on point as well. But I wanted to read something to her. Actually, I wrote, it's on this plaque that I would like to give to her. But the words on here is the words on here. And it says, "This certificate is presented to Sarah in recognition of your extraordinary and heroic actions on the night of September 26, 2021. On this fateful evening, the city of Des Moines was shaken by a tragic event that claimed the lives of Antoine Matthews, Angelia Hilton, and my son, Ezra Taylor. In the midst of unimaginable sorrow and chaos, your courage and swift response shone brightly. Your bravery was not just an act of duty, but a profound display of humanity and compassion. You stepped forward when others needed you most, providing critical aid and unwavering support. During a time of great despair, in the darkest of moments, you stood resilient and unshaken, embodying the very essence of heroism. The impact of your actions on that horrific night extends far beyond the immediate circumstances. Your quick thinking and selfless service made a tangible difference, offering comfort and hope amidst the tragedy. For the families and loved ones of those who were lost, your presence was a beacon of strength, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming loss, there are individuals like you who are willing to stand up and make a difference. Sarah, your courage will forever be etched in the hearts of those who you helped, and your legacy as a hero will endure. Your actions have left an indelible mark on our community, and for that, we are externally grateful. You are and always will be my hero, my son's hero, and everyone that you came across that night. Here is your certificate of appreciation, and I thank you so much for being there with my son and performing CPR. Sarah.
We want to thank the Taylor family for this recognition. Officer Sarah Montjoy is one of our patrol officers. She's a valuable employee, a tremendous asset to our community. Just by chance, she was coming back from SCORE jail facility, and she witnessed the disturbance and chaos and immediately went into action, calling for help and performing CPR and Azura. So, yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Anna Patrick? And then Quentin Morris.
Kind of feel like we need to take a moment after that, so,
You want to take a 5-minute recess?
could we?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's take a 5-minute recess, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, I heard you mention legislative priorities, so I decided to read the email I sent you guys this week. I'd like to speak to those priorities, and hoping that putting it on record will enhance what I sent by email. I'd like to express my concerns about the impact of House Bill 1220 and related legislation, including House Bill 1110, and recent tax incentives for housing minors for 180 days. These policies, when combined with our city's rapid growth plans, low law enforcement numbers, and efforts to reduce prosecution, pose significant risks to our community's stability and safety. Impacts of House Bill 1220 and related legislation mandates that the cities zone for a large number of new housing units, including low-barrier drug houses, as part of permanent supportive housing. This top-down approach risks concentrating vulnerable populations in neighborhoods that lack the infrastructure and services to support them, leading to increased crime and decreased property values. House Bill 1110 allows for rezoning in lower-value, larger lot neighborhoods, which are particularly vulnerable to rapid changes in density and population. Additionally, policies such as King County's hypodermic needle delivery program and Best Starts for Kids anti-gentrification efforts are contributing to an uneven burden on South King County, where drug addicts, criminals, and sex offenders are disproportionately concentrated. And this is all through housing. The need for a fair distribution, current strategy fails to distribute the responsibility of housing vulnerable populations equitably across the state. Clear limits should be set on how many drug addicts, criminals, and sex offenders each city must accommodate. Not just the income brackets, but the actual need groups. So ensuring no single community is overwhelmed, especially in light of the large, arbitrary 946 housing units that Federal Way is now required to accommodate, according to Washington State Department of Commerce and what King County has divvied out to our city. This is in addition to what we have to absorb in the extended stay. So legislative actions, I would ask that our legislatures should be representing Federal Way with these unintended consequences that will fall on our city, and advocate for amendments to limit the number of units and grant more control to our city. Push for legislation that sets a cap on the required housing units for the city for these high-need groups in vulnerable communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Quentin Morris.
Thank you. I heard there was a party going on here, so I couldn't miss it. Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Koshmar, and fellow Federal Way City Council members. Appreciate it. I am here to recognize and thank Federal Way Police Department for scheduling and arranging for my ride-along just over a week ago. Despite living in Federal Way for over 50 years, I visited areas I've never seen before and witnessed amazing facets of contemporary life here that I never would have imagined. I will not detail here all of my observations, but suffice it to say it was an eye-opening experience. I highly recommend those who are interested, and especially elected representatives of our city, school, and legislative districts, invest the time in this experience. Thank you to Chief Wong, Deputy Chief Jones, Lieutenant J.A., Officers Hogan and Olengor. I want to share that the team I met reflected a very positive view of their mission and morale in serving the public of Federal Way. I'll share that the officers say that Federal Way offers the most diverse experience of a policing imaginable. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but certainly it is a rewarding career for them. They see it all. I came away very impressed. Now, I was prepared to give Federal Way Police Department a gift tonight, but I was told that gifts are frowned upon. Suffice it to say, every squad car should have a roll of high-speed duct tape available. I'll leave Officer Hogan to explain. Thank you.
All right. I'm sure there's a story in there somewhere, Quentin. Thank you very much. I'll ask after the meeting. All right. Okay, everybody, thank you very much. That concludes public comment. Do we have anybody online?
No, Mayor, we don't.
And I think we did have a citizen write in a letter I think it was Nancy Combs that wrote in a letter. Is that, if somebody wanted to read that, how would they do that?
It's available online under the council meeting date,
Okay, it's available online.
or contact the city clerk's office.
On the city website, great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Combs, for your letter. Okay, next we're on item 5, presentations. This is proclamation of the 90th anniversary of the MRSC. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Mr. Rose to go to the podium. He's an employee of MRSC. And our MRSC is Municipal Research and Service Center, and this is our 90th anniversary. They provide elected officials and staff with free advice. You can call them, they will research things for you. I've used them extensively as a council member, and I really, really appreciate their service, and 90 years is a long time to be in business. They're doing a good job. So I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the Municipal Research and Service Center, or MRSC, is a nonprofit organization with a vision to empower local governments to better serve their communities through trusted guidance and service that support local government success. And whereas MRSC was originally established in 1934 as the University of Washington Bureau of Governmental Research, turning into a privately operated nonprofit in 1969. And whereas 2024 marks the 90th anniversary of MRSC, providing reliable guidance for every topic imaginable for municipalities through the efforts of staff attorneys and policy consultants. And whereas MRSC operates under the guiding values of integrity, a supportive environment, effective communication, continuous improvement, responsibility, and collaboration, which because of these values, MRSC is given the opportunity to provide services to all 281 cities and towns in the state of Washington, including all 39 counties and hundreds of special purpose districts, state agencies, and other government partners. And whereas MRSC is a helpful resource that is utilized by the City of Federal Way. Now therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council members of the City of Federal Way, do hereby proclaim MRSC's 90th anniversary in Federal Way, and we celebrate the 90 years of being the go-to for all governmental research. Signed this 13th day of August, 2024. And I'll bring this down to you, but I do want to thank you. And as they always say after every conversation or email, listen to your city attorney.
You want a picture? Here we go. No, ready? Sure.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Rose. I'm Finance and Administration Manager for MRSC. I just want to start by thanking Mayor Farrell and the City Council for this generous proclamation commemorating MRSC's 90th anniversary. It's a great honor to receive this recognition from a city that's been a valuable partner to us for many years. MRSC was founded in 1934 with a simple mission: to provide local governments with the information and resources they need to succeed. In our early days, we would spend time hand typing out cards and mail them back and forth to city staff around topics like tent caterpillars and managing voting machines. And even today, we find ourselves answering some of the same questions. But over the past 9 decades, MRSC has evolved into a trusted advisor to all of local government. Each year, we answer over 4,000 direct emails from our city and council member partners. We train over 10,000 staff members, and we have over 1 million visits to our website. We're grateful for the support of cities like Federal Way throughout our history, and we're committed to continuing to provide the highest levels of quality service to our members. We look forward to many more years of collaboration with the City of Federal Way and other cities and counties throughout the state. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Okay, number 6, council committee and regional committee reports. First, Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety. Councilmember Walsh.
All right, just a few things. First, normally our August meeting for the committee would be tonight. However, because of the National Night Out last week, this meeting is tonight instead, and we decided not to have an August meeting. Our next meeting will be on September 10th, and I expect it to be a very short meeting because it's my wife's birthday. So anyway, I'm looking at John. Okay, all right, so anyway. But I would like to make just a few other comments, and most of these are things that have already been reported either in the mayor's emerging issues or on the, or at the stand. And there's been some great events that are related to parks and recreation and human services and public safety these last few weeks. And the mayor mentioned some of the Kiwanis Salmon Bake. What a great event, bringing community together. And all of these things are bringing community together. The Hanwuri Garden fundraiser. I mean, the Hanwuri Garden is going to be incredible. It will be a beautiful, beautiful addition to the city. And the fundraiser was incredible as well. They flew artists from vocal artists from Korea, Son Jun Ho and his wife Kim So Hyun, who have absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous voices, beautiful voices, and they're top level people in Korea. They brought them here, and then this couple donated their time to make it for the event. And a very successful fundraiser and delightful people. National Night Out, another event that brings community together. What a great event. One thing that I would encourage, I know that there were several National Night Out groups that did not register with the city, and so as a result, the council and the mayor and the police and the fire department were not able to visit them because they didn't know about them. And since then, I found out that there were several groups that didn't register. I would encourage groups that have National Night Out to make sure they register with the city next year. Most of them don't care whether the council and the mayor show up, but the kids want the fire truck to show up. I mean, that's the important stuff. And then the Fusion Gala, talk about, once again, Fusion, what a wonderful, great event, and support from the city and from the community, a wonderful function. And then this last Saturday, the Federal Way Community Festival, another wonderful event bringing the city together. And one thing that was mentioned over here is also the cleanup in the West High Labos, by West High Labos, partnering between the Stand Up Federal Way and the Parks Department. There were 31 volunteers out there cleaning things up. 31 volunteers, a total of 150 hours of service by community members, and 30 yards of trash. I can't even imagine that. 30 yards of trash were hauled out of there. And so a big attaboy to the Stand Up Federal Way community group. We have a great city. We have great people in it that contribute to the city, that make lives better for all of us. And I want to extend that my gratitude for that. And that may be a little more than just the committee report, but that's my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Land Use and Transportation Committee, Councilmember Dovey.
Thank you, Mayor. The Land Use Committee meets every month. We aren't fortunate sometimes to have a week off or a month off. But we do move it every now and then. So next meeting will be on September 9th, 2024, because it's a holiday the Monday before. Just a highlight that's come out of committee, and we'll be talking about it a little bit later tonight, is a citizen came forward talking about motorhomes and started out with parking in their driveway. And anyway, tonight we have the bill coming up relating to parking recreational vehicles on city streets, which started with a citizen, worked through land use, worked through the planning commission, worked through community development, and now we have some action to get it done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Finance, Economic Development, Regional Affairs Committee, Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our committee met on July 23rd, and we approved and forwarded item B through H on the consent agenda for your approval tonight. We also approved the ordinance for 2024-2025 biennial budget amendment, and that is going to be discussed further later during this meeting. I just want to take this opportunity to recognize the grant writer that we have contract with. We receive regular update from this company. I believe it's Collaborative Partners Initiative, or CPIN, right? Okay. So one of the things that was reported at the committee meeting was the award of $147,000. I'm sorry, I tried to pull up the name, but my internet just went out. So I'm looking at Tanya to see if you can name the grant for us.
Sure. It's the EECBG grant, and it is a grant to build a workforce pipeline, so training programs for folks in the city so that they can avail of jobs and positions.
Great work. Yeah, we, so far, they are doing really good job for us, try to locate the grant and then apply, and this is, I think this is the first grant that we received from them, right? Was the second?
That's correct, but we have over $3 million in grants in process, and there are over $80 million in grants that have been identified over a series of 12 grants that we could potentially apply for next year.
That's great. That's great. So, so as a reminder, we don't have meeting in August, so that staff can spend time with their families. So our next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, September 24, 2024, in this room. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Councilmember Assefa Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. We did not have a meeting in August. However, there's been a lot happening in the Department of Economic Development. And so we have many applications coming in for our September's meeting, requesting Tourism Enhancement Grant, or TAGs. And so on this topic of grants, we're excited to share that there are many city-sponsored free programs, workshops, and courses that will be available to nonprofits, community-based organizations, and small businesses located in our or serving Federal Way. And so everyone in these areas are welcome to attend. And here's a flyer, and we have some out there. If you don't mind sharing it with people in the community. And these are free workshops for people who want to write grants, particularly small businesses that don't have the capacity. I think this is going to be a very helpful way to support our businesses and our nonprofits and anybody who's interested in writing grants and learning how to do it. And then on this flyer also, there's information on digital literacy and shop local marketplace. And so please take them. Oh, and then on each, under each topic is a QR code that actually people could scan and look at it in depth. So we're just encouraging you to do so. Our next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, September 10th at 2 p.m. And I think we're going to have a very full agenda on that day. So thank you.
All right, Regional Committees report, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the neighborhoods that I visited for National Night Out. My husband and I went to 8 neighborhoods, and our last one was Campus Woods, and there was a lost dog there. He was huge, one of the, I don't know what he was, but he was huge, and probably elderly, and when we left them at 9 o'clock, they were still trying to figure out where the dog went. The fire department that was there, the firefighters wanted to take the dog back to the station and adopt him. He was awesome. Hope he found his home. I'm sure he did. I'd like to thank the commissions that were here tonight for the work that they do, and always being there to help the people in Federal Way, and the council for all the work that they do on their commissions. The Senior Commission is having a senior reading program that is starting this fall. We are partnering with the Federal Way Public Schools to read to elementary school students. And the goal is to get as many volunteers as we can. You don't have to be a senior, you could be of any age. You do have to go through the Federal Way Public Schools to get approval to be in the school and to read, but if you're interested, please call the council office and we can get you your name and your information and let you know the next steps. But we want as many volunteers as we can get. The next Senior Commission Connection meeting will be September 18th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Federal Way Community Center. This special guest speaker will be Emergency Manager Kevin Pelly, and we serve a light lunch. And we've had 70 or more people there. We do that every 3 months. I'm a member of the Domestic Violence Initiative Task Force out of King County, and on September 10th, we are holding a very special meeting. And from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, we are inviting council members, mayors, police department, anyone in the cities who work with domestic violence. And I know our mayor was very involved in that when he worked at King County Prosecutor's Office. And we'd like to invite you for a breakfast and a discussion of what the DVI Regional Task Force does and how we could get some additional support out of the South King County cities. We do have domestic violence that happens, and it happens often. And we're working hard to address it, but it would be great if we can get some of our council members and others there. It's going to be held at Kent City Hall. And then immediately following the breakfast, we're going to have our quarterly task force meeting, which is from 9 to 11, and everyone is welcome to stay for that. We do ask that you register for the breakfast by August 30th. And if you could let me know, I will help you register. I would love to have you attend. And then I just wanted to say that, I lost it. NLC is having, from now until September 9th, it's time for council members to sign up if you want to be on the board or one of their committees. There's 4 different places that you can sign up for. So the application is online, and if you have any questions about any of the boards, I'm on some of them. Yeah, I would love to help you. I think that the more representation we have at NLC, the better for Federal Way and for our citizens and residents. And so I would encourage you to go to the NLC site and see what it is that you can do there. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Council President report.
Thank you. Mine's a little bit of a collection of many different things. So I stepped in for the mayor at El Centro de la Raza when Puget Sound Energy was honored for giving them $50,000 for solar panels for the roof on the skating rink. And they were talking about how they could develop new folks skating, speed skating. But, you know, we've already had 2 Olympian skaters from that skating rink, J.R. Selsky and Apollo Ono. So when you think that people from Federal Way could actually become Olympians, they already have. And so we keep going that way. I want to say thank you to the commissioners who came to our thank you meeting prior to this meeting. Some of the ideas that came out from that or that I was involved in had to do with T-shirts for everybody, actually asking if we couldn't have folks from the potential annexation area east of the freeway join in our commissions. And then since there was an ask to do a parade, perhaps the mayor could discuss having a parade committee form to discuss that whole idea. We used to have parades. It was maybe 20 years ago. It'd be nice to have one again. And thank you. We also have a grant from the help from our Tanya Carter for helping the volunteers to clean up overpasses. So there will be money not to pay them to clean up the overpasses, but to pay them for the equipment that they use and to dispose of the debris. And so there is a grant available for that. With the Salmon Bake, it was very well attended, but the parking was terrible. I don't know if we can solve that problem next year, John, just to keep that in mind. Thank you. And then Councilmember Honda and Walsh and I have been working with two of the school board members, Lakeisha Phillips and Trudy Davis, about setting up another town hall for you. Right now, we're thinking about one in September 21st at 10 a.m. at Poverty Bay. I'm going to step in for the mayor at the Lions Club this Saturday for the mayor's choice. I actually have a 65 Mustang in my garage, which I would drive over there if I could, dead battery, and I can't, the door is stuck. So, but I bought that car, my goodness, for $5,000 from my dad when I drove it in college 60 years ago. So it's worth a little bit more than that, right, Bob? Yeah. And I don't know what it's worth something. And then my son has a 56 Chevy two-door, no post, Matador red Chevy in his garage. That's worth a heck of a lot more than my Mustang. So anyway, just let you know I'm going to do the mayor's choice. So if you don't like it, tough tonkas. And then I would like to ask for a crime report, which I've already mentioned to our chief and our deputy chief, for our next meeting about how things are going now since we had the pursuit law that was revised starting July 1st. And I think what I feel from what I read on social media is that possibly our stolen cars have been decreased. And I'm hoping that's the case. So perhaps we can get some statistics at our next meeting to see how that's working. And then finally, the mayor and I did attend the mayor for the mayor of Algona, which was very lovely. But we had another, I feel very fortunate to be part of this group with my colleagues representing the city of Federal. But I'm also part of another group. It's a Catholic church called St. Vincent de Paul in Federal. We had a very wonderful man, pastor for 25 years, who passed away, and we had his funeral today. So if you can picture a church with 900 seats that had 1,000 people there, don't tell the fire department, and we had 50 priests, an archbishop, and a bishop. And this man was a very holy man, but I see some Kiwanians in the audience, and when this priest is a wonderful man, he also a jokester. He came to Kiwanis when they had the Pastors' Day, and all the pastors were from the Federal. Were talking about why they became pastors, and when it was his turn, he was the last one. He said, it's because my mother told me I could wear black. Anyway, it was a wonderful man, and had a lot of jokes, but a lot of people, including some people in the audience, very much appreciated him. And so thank you very much for listening to me, Mayor, and I hope do well for you at the Lions Club. Thank
All
you.
right.
Mayor,
Thank you.
can I
Yep.
add something? There's been a number of car accidents at 21st.
Yes.
Is there anything that we can do to get a report on what's going on there that needs to be done to make that intersection safer?
Right, we just had one again this week.
Yeah.
Chief, any, why don't we, actually, I think that's more of an EJ issue. Maybe at the next meeting, we can talk about that particular location.
Sure.
Especially with school starting. Every time I hear sirens around 2 o'clock in that area, I'm concerned about Decatur and kids driving.
That's one of the locations that we're thinking about a flock camera at that particular location to feed in. So let's maybe have you and Rick and maybe even some coordination with the police department about the, what can be done at that area, at that intersection of 320th and 21st, and maybe some recent history.
Yeah, I'll touch base with the chief and we'll get something pulled together.
Very good. Thank you very much.
And Mayor, can I add to that?
Yeah.
I'm also off of 21st, and there's a lot of drag racing happening at night. And every now and then we do hear sirens, and maybe, but I don't know if they catch them. But it's becoming more and more in my neighborhood there, so.
Okay. Chief, will you note that and talk with you and Deputy Chief Jones as well? And let's maybe get some traffic enforcement in that area and that. Okay, thank you. Okay, now moving on to the consent agenda. These items have gone through committee, can be passed all at once. After I read them, I'll ask if a council member would want to pull an item for separate consideration. Item A, minutes for the July 16th, 2024 regular meeting. B, monthly financial report, June 2024. C, AP vouchers, 6/8/1824 through 7/15/24. Payroll vouchers, 6/1/24 through 6/30/24. D, 2025 Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs Body Worn Camera Grant Interlocal Agreement. E, copier and printer maintenance agreement. F, purchase of managed detection and response services. G, ARPA grant funds reallocation. H, resolution Federal Way investment policy update. And I, initiation of development agreement negotiations for Sound Transit's operations and maintenance facility south. Councilor, are there any items you would want pulled for separate consideration?
Item G.
Councilmember Honda?
Yes, item G, ARPA grant funds.
Okay.
Reallocation.
Any others? Council? Okay, Council President?
Thank you, Mayor. I move approval of items, consent agenda item A through G and I for approval.
You mean, I think the item pulled was G, so,
No, I'm moving approval of items A through F, and then, I'm sorry, you're right, and then H and I for
great.
approval.
Is there a
Thank
second?
you.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second for those items. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, those matters are approved. Councilmember, on item G.
Thank you. So this is an item to take the remaining ARPA funds that we have not spent at this point, but we have allocated the money for, and to take that money remaining and put it into the 2024 police or public safety budget. And my concern is, so the ARPA items that would be not funded with this money, they would be funded out of the general fund moving forward. I have asked that in our monthly financial report that we have, there's 52 projects, and that they're listed out, and we can follow along to make sure that they are completed and at what stages they are. Because council gets a lot of information on a very regular basis, and it's easy to forget things here and there. And so I just want to make sure that we follow along on these items and make sure that they are completed by the time that they are to be completed.
Sure, we'll be happy to include that in our monthly financial report that comes to FedRec.
Thank you.
Would you, now that the item's been pulled, do you have a couple of slides to talk about what this is so we can explain what we're doing?
I do.
Would you please do that?
Sure.
Just roll through it.
Sure, this is not an ordinance or a resolution. It simply asks for a council to approve a reallocation. Well, that sounds kind of technical for accounting, but all I'm looking to do is, as Councilmember Honda mentioned, is to charge public safety expenses to ARPA and charge ARPA projects to general fund. And I have a simple, there's several reasons why we want to do this. First of all, we want to make sure that we maximize the ARPA grant. We don't want to have to have any money that they gave us. We don't want to give any back if we don't have to, because that helps taxpayers. Anytime we can use for federal money, we don't have to.
And what's the order of magnitude? What was the can you let everybody know, what was the total ARPA allocation to the city?
Absolutely. It was $19.2 million. They gave us the cash 2 years ago.
And why is the timing necessary?
The period to obligate everything goes through the December of this current year. Now, council has approved everything already. However, if some of our projects, when we get the invoices and we get the final spending, if some of them come in less, then that means we have savings, which we would want to come back to council and re-obligate. However, the window to obligate would have passed. So what we want to do is we want to obligate the entire grant this year. That will also allow us to finish out our compliance reporting. We don't have to do repetitive quarterly reporting. The auditors, the state auditor's office can then come in and audit it. And the reason that's important is because U.S. Treasury changed the rules on us a couple times. Council was very wise, the mayor was very wise at the beginning to be very cautious in what we approved, because the ARPA rules, the guidelines, they were unclear at first. We didn't know that we could do supplanting. And then later, we got a finding on one of our audits because they changed the rules on debarment. So if we can wrap this up in 2024, that would solve all of those problems. Now, the way that it works mechanically It's a shame Ryan Call isn't here. I hope he's watching online, because the color of money, the illustration is one that I think he recommends that explains this really well. If we have general fund revenue that pays for general fund expenses, well, that includes public safety, salaries, benefits, supplies and services. And if we have ARPA money, that pays for ARPA expenses, and that pays for all of the projects that you have approved. And my dazzling slide here is going to show that what we're going to do is we're just going to switch. What that means is we're going to pay ARPA projects, the same one that were approved, with the green general fund money, and we will pay general fund expenses with ARPA money. Now, I could have used any general fund expenses. It doesn't have to be public safety salaries. However, 12 other cities in Washington have already done this. They've been through the audits. Early on, the guidelines suggested that one of the wise uses of ARPA was public safety. So what we want to do is we want to look very similar to what other cities have already done. That's just the smoothest way to get through an audit. We will maximize the grant in 2024. We'll file our compliance report, and then that will allow us additional time to proceed exactly as planned, and we will come back and report monthly on each of the projects as they proceed. So
Councilmember Gilby?
I was just going to make a comment. I'm totally in favor of doing this because it simplifies our lives and the budget and everything. But I appreciate what Councilmember Honda brings up, and I truly would like to see a one-page in our finance report on the committee that lists all 52 or 42 or whatever hasn't been project, shows that we paid it off, and then keep it on there so we can actually monitor all those projects so we don't lose any. But if we have that reporting, that's golden. So
Yeah,
thank you, Councilmember Honda, for bringing that up.
I've got good news and bad news. I can make it on one page, but the print will be small.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Council, any other questions? All right, Council President?
I move approval of item G I move approval of consent of the item G.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. All right, items 8, public hearing, ordinance 2023-24, biennial budget amendment per RCW 35A.34.130. I'll now open the public hearing. We'll have a presentation from Steve Groom, our Finance Director. Steve?
Thank you. There's always 3 or 4 reasons that we come to you for a budget amendment, and they all have to do with circumstances that have changed since the time that the budget was adopted. The budget requires expenditures to be authorized by you. We often come to you with new grants where we ask you to approve new funding and new expenses. We also bring prior year carry forwards. And then sometimes we will have new things arise for which we have a fund balance saved that we didn't know at the time of the budget. One of the biggest things that we are accomplishing, when we did the 2024 budget, we budgeted $2.3 million for jail cost. That was back just right after COVID, after the pandemic, and the activity has since resumed, and the current year's forecast is $4.5 million, which leaves us with a shortfall for jail cost of $2.2 million. Last quarter, we found $559,000. This quarter, using only the revenue that we've actually received, it's cash in the bank, so we're not forecasting, we're taking what we've actually received. We can cover $1,035,000. That will leave $606,000 for the remaining half of the year, and that should be very doable. Where did we get the $1,035,000? Well, it wasn't from sales tax. In past years, sales tax has been very good to us. This year it wasn't, so we have to absorb that loss in addition. But our permit fees, which are less than last year, they're still very favorable to budget. So is the unrestricted portion of utility tax, and then so is the investment revenue that we have received so far in the first half. That is the revenue that covers the budget amendment that'll get us through the next 2 quarters of jail cost. All of the other things One of them was, quite frankly, a prior year carryover that EJ spotted for overlay that we had, that we failed to bring last quarter. So that was sitting in fund balance. We need to bring that forward so we can spend it. We had 4 new grants, and every time we have a new grant, well, that allows us to recognize new revenue and the expenses it covers. We had 2 adjustments we needed for the Performing Arts Center and Dumas Bay. Both of those, because they've had increased revenues and increased expenses. And those amounts are covered almost entirely from revenues. Then the last 3 items from fund balance were from SWIM, had a project that it had been saving up for. Lodging tax, we heard from Councilmember Asefa Dawson that there are some new tourism enhancement grants coming. Well, we only budgeted $65,000, so we're going to bring another $100,000. That's out of current year's revenue. That's very simple. And then there was a shuttle bus that we needed to purchase that we had fund balance for. Then the last big item is we had not budgeted the $8.8 million for the O&M facility land purchase. It wasn't in our original budget when we adopted it. It wasn't contemplated. So all of those are the budget amendment items that are in your packet. This is a hearing, so I'm here for questions, and then this will come back again in September for the second hearing.
Council, any questions? All right, stay close, Steve. Stephanie, is there any public comment on this?
No, Mayor, I don't have anyone signed up.
Okay, and Councilmember Tran, do you have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the matter is granted. This item, action on this item will occur during the ordinance section of the agenda. Thank you, Steve. All right, item 9, council business. Assessment lien for abatement at 1235 Southwest 313th Street. Presentation from Christina Dunlap, Code Compliance Supervisor.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and others present. My name is Christina Dunlap, and I am the Code Compliance Supervisor. I am here requesting an assessment lien be placed on the Taylor property here in the city. Policy question. Per Federal Way Revised Code 115080 subsection 4, should City Council approve staff to place an assessment lien on the property located at 1235 Southwest 313th Street, Federal Way, in the amount of $4,287.29. This property has a long history of documented code violations dating back to 1993. Complaints range from exterior junk and debris, junk vehicles, illegal parking of vehicles, the storing of building materials, equipment, tools, scrap, metal, dilapidated and/or fences, and overgrown vegetation. Before this recent abatement, the property was abated in 2021. Code Compliance started receiving complaints, and so we issued a new notification of violation in December of 2023. There were many efforts made to bring the property into compliance, but we worked with the property owner, issued dump vouchers, offered resources, and none of the efforts worked. We were not able to bring the property into compliance. So we ended up having to abate the property on February 7th, and that's what totaled $4,287.29. The property owner was billed for the recovery of cost and was given at least 30 days to make their payment. As of today, the city has not received payment for the completed work. And if you can look at the pictures and see kind of the condition that it was prior to the abatement. You see lots of junk and debris, and this was the cleanup afterwards. And so cost breakdown, we're looking at $2,277 in labor, $1,420 in disposal fees, $197 in supplies, $393.29 in taxes, which the grand total ended up being $4,287.29. So the option to consider, to either to approve the proposed assessment lien on the Taylor's property in the amount of $4,287.29, revise the amount and approve placement of assessment lien on the property, do not approve proposed assessment lien on the Taylor's property, and provide direction to the staff.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Dunlap, Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. Thank you for being here. When this property was cleaned up before, did they pay the cleanup fee at that point?
No payment has been received.
So this would be the second lien on
This
the
would be the
property?
second lien.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Walsh?
Yeah, with that, I mean, obviously, the city has time into it as well. I mean, are we able to compensate for the city's time spent on it, or can be strictly the hard costs?
Right,
that
so
are with cleanup?
so the lien basically is for the cost of the abatement as well as any incidentals like our time.
It does cover the city's
It does
time.
cover.
Okay, all
Our
right.
labor, yeah. Councilmember Dovey?
A couple questions. You said we've had issues with this since 1993, was it?
Correct.
Have we had other liens or abatements in all those years?
No.
No, okay. And assuming they don't pay, which is probably a good chance because we're leaning, we actually get paid when they sell the property?
That is correct.
Or do we collect interest on that? Or is it,
That-
so it's going to accrue, so if the guy waits 20 years, you know, it's compounding like a bank loan?
I don't think it's compounding, but there's definitely interest of some sort on it, yeah.
But does it compound like the IRS or the bank or somebody like that? So in 20 years, we're really looking at $52,000?
So it compounds the same way like a property tax bill compounds. So it's not quite like a bank. It doesn't accrue to the kind of
Okay.
levels that are
Okay.
outlined. But yes, it continues to collect interest until it's paid in full.
And we've disclosed that to the property owner? They know that it doesn't just one time, it keeps growing?
I don't.
I don't know the
think that-
process,
yeah.
I'm just asking, because somebody's gonna get a shock someday when they think they might owe 4,000, and it's a much bigger number because they were not good.
I don't think they're going to be surprised. The
Yeah.
efforts are ongoing.
Okay, good.
Efforts at this property are continuing.
Yeah, well, I think we need to make sure that people know that it's just not a one-time number that we're seeing here, it's a much bigger number someday in the future.
That's a point well taken, but perhaps a letter to the property owner, letting them know that interest will be accruing. That should be part of this process. And there are, like I said, ongoing efforts, because it's,
I get that, I understand.
yes.
I would include their first lien then too, and what it started out at and what it is now in that letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. All right, let's see here. Any other questions? All right. Councilmember Dovey?
Yeah, I move approval of the proposed assessment lien on the Taylor property in the amount of $4,287.29.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Christina. Item B, proposed 2025 through 27 collective bargaining agreement with the Federal Way Police Officers Guild. Presentation by Vanessa Audette, our Human Resources Director.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Council President.
The policy question before you tonight is, should the city council authorize the mayor to execute the proposed 2025 to 2027 collective bargaining agreement with the Federal Way Police Officers Guild? For some background, our current CBA expires on December 31st, 2024. We began negotiations for a new agreement back in May this year. That was intentional, wanted to get budget numbers in for the next biennial budget to finance. We began negotiations in May. We reached tentative agreement in June, and the Guild ratified the vote by a majority of the collective bargaining unit 1 week ago tonight on August 6th. The contract before you is a proposed 3-year contract, and it conforms with all direction previously provided by council. The cost impact for 2025 includes a 3.5% COLA increase and a market survey salary adjustment to the Police Guild wage scale. The total increase for 2025 is $1,060,000. The total cost of the 2025 contract for salary and benefits wages is $20.4 million. In 2026, there is a 3.5% COLA. The total cost increase for 2026 is $714,000, with a total contract cost of $21.1 million. In 2027, though we have a 3-year agreement, we have agreed to reopen the contract on wages only, so that we have a better idea of economics, where economics are in the city and what the budget is in 2027. So at that point, for 2027, when we reopen wages, we will be coming back to council for authority. A brief summary of the changes. This new contract will implement a market-based wage scale that includes a new Step A for academy new recruits. They'll receive Step A when they are hired through their academy. Once they graduate the academy, they will progress to Step B upon graduation. It also adds a new Step F for officers with greater than 49 months of seniority. This market-based wage scale is to incentivize recruiting and promote longevity with our officers. We've also added a 30-year seniority vacation accrual, which we've done citywide and are doing in other bargaining units. And we've incorporated our prior contract MOUs, so agreements that we made operationally between the last contract execution and today. We've also done some general contract language, housekeeping, and clarification, and we have increased the uniform allowance per officer from $200 per officer per year to $300 per officer per year in recognition of the inflated cost of materials. We've also streamlined steps in the grievance procedure to simplify a 7-step process that was redundant in steps down to a 4-step process. The mayor's recommendation is to approve the 25 to 27 collective bargaining agreement with the Police Officers Guild. Do you have any questions?
Council, any questions? All right. Hearing none. Council President Kuchma, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I move approval of the proposed 2025-2027 collective bargaining agreement with the Police Officers Guild and authorize the mayor to execute said agreement.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good work. Okay, item C, State Route 99, Federal Way High School pedestrian safety, 85% status and authorization to bid. Presentation from Jason Kennedy, Senior Traffic Engineer.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Jason Kennedy, Senior Traffic Engineer. And just to clarify, this is for authorization to award. We had gone back, we had previously already gotten approval for authorization to bid for this project. I'd like to just real quick add on to.
Well, I want to make sure that it's clear that the agenda says that, says 85% status and authorization to bid. So, yeah, what's that? Right, it says authorization to bid, but but this is authorization to award. Okay, just want to make sure, is there any problem with notice in regard to the fact that this was?
On the actual agenda bill, it says award median fencing, so I believe it's noticed.
Okay, great, all right, just want to make sure. Sorry to interrupt you, Jason.
No problem. So the policy question is, should the city council award the median fencing project on Pacific Highway South, between South 304th Street and South 308th Street, bid award to the lowest responsible bidder? We received 8 responsive bids, and we opened those up last week for this project, and the lowest responsible bidder is South Sound Fencing LLC, with a total bid amount of $43,986 and no cents. Just a refresher of here's what the area of which the fencing project is going to take place, in the median, in front of Federal Way High School, between South 304th Street and South 308th Street. So when we came originally for the proposal for this, we had original estimate shown here on the left side column. And then after the bids have come in and we have the lowest bidder, we have a revised estimate based on the bids coming in at the amount of $43,986. And we had a TIB grant that we received for $120,800. So the total available funding is $249,400. So the options before you is to, one, award the median fencing project on Pacific Highway South, between South 304th and South 308th Street, to South Sound Fencing LLC, which is the lowest responsible bidder, in the amount of $43,986, and approve a construction contingency of $3,000 for a maximum contract amount of $46,986 and no cents, and authorize the mayor to execute this contract. Or reject all the bids for this project and direct staff to rebid the project and return for further action. Are there any questions?
All right, council, any questions? Councilmember McDaniel?
Yeah, my question is, so because this was 2 parts, it's the funding for this is a grant and then also a matching fund. Do we use the grant money completely before we step into the city's financing for it, or does it have to be a 50-50, or how's it?
Yes, we'll use the whole amount from TIB first.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, let's see here.
No, I have a question.
Oh, sorry, Council President.
That's okay. So Jason, it's hard to see from your picture. Could you describe what this median fencing is and the reason for it? I mean, it's difficult to see from the picture what it is.
Yes. So, well, the reason for the project in the first place is as part of overall safety improvements we're making to that portion of Pac Highway. One of the items that we worked with in terms of the school district, obviously internal staff, the police. One of the items that we felt was an item that we thought was important was to address pedestrians crossing not at the signalized intersections. And so this fence is being put up for that purpose, to encourage pedestrians only to cross at the signalized intersections.
So this Federal High School vicinity?
Yes, and while, to be clear, while students are obviously a primary, in terms of being with the high school right there, it's for all pedestrians that cross.
All right, council, any other questions? All right, Councilmember Dovey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I move to award the medium fencing project on Pacific Highway South, South 304th and Street 308th Street to South Sound Fencing LLC in the amount of $43,986, and approve the contingency of $3,000 for a maximum contract of $46,986.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passed unanimously. Thank you, Jason, good job. Item D, proposed settlement agreement regarding the Lemaster lawsuit. Presentation by Kent Van Alstine, Assistant City Attorney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a proposed settlement of a personal injury lawsuit called Lemaster versus City of Federal Way. The lawsuit arose out of a trip and fall that occurred on 348th on the sidewalk of 348th near Pacific Highway. At this time, the parties have mediated and agreed to a settlement in the amount of $125,000. I'm here to request council approval for that settlement. And the mayor does recommend approval of the proposed settlement in the amount of $125,000.
All right, any questions? All right, Council President Kochmar, do you have a motion?
I move approval of the proposed settlement in the matter of Lemaster versus City of Federal Way in the amount of $125,000.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you, Kent. All right, item E, Jet Cities Course Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, presentation from Autumn Gressett, Community Relations Contract Administrator. All right, Autumn?
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, council members. Autumn Gressett, Community Relations Liaison and Contract Administrator. The item before you is the Jet Cities Memorandum of Understanding with the Performing Arts and Event Center. As we discussed at FedRAC in our other MOUs, Jet Cities was just being finished, so I wanted to bring that forth to you this evening. The parameters surrounding their MOU are the same. However, they do have one change that is different, which in section 1 of all of the MOUs is particular to each resident artist organization. That one is they have 2 performances that are waived rental and fees at the Performing Arts and Event Center. The policy question before you this evening is should the City Council approve the Memorandum of Understanding with Jet Cities and authorize execution? Mayor's recommendation is option 1, and I'm happy to answer any questions for that one before we move on.
Councilmember Honda?
Mr. What?
Just go.
Okay, so I have a few questions, and this pertains to all of the MOUs.
Yes.
So currently, when I buy a ticket to, let's say, Jet City's performances or to the Chorale, I buy it from a member of that organization.
Yes.
And in the MOU, it says that tickets are to be sold through the PAC, OVG 360 site. OVG 360 retains a service fee as earned revenue. Can you tell me how much the service fees are? Because this will increase the cost of the tickets.
The cost of the tickets will not increase. This is the same parameters in which they've been operating since we opened in 2017. The ticket fee or the service fee is about $1. Even if you purchase it from a member of one of these organizations, they're getting consignment tickets directly from the PAC and then going out and selling those on their own behalf. And that's been standard since we opened in 2017.
So then are service fees different for these tickets and tickets if I were to buy something else at the PAC to attend?
Service fees are dependent on the price of the ticket, and then it's dependent on if you purchase it online or in person at the box office or if it's a consignment ticket. But average resident artist tickets are about $1 because they're pulling consignment tickets to be able to go out and sell them in a community. So you're not getting the service fees that would come from purchasing them online or at the box office. So it's actually less.
So, but my question is, and if I were to, another concert from, or a play or something coming in from a national performing group, I've paid quite a bit more in service fees for those tickets.
The service fee for those, if you purchase them online or through the box office, yes, those service fees would potentially be more. The service fee for a consignment ticket, a baseline service fee, because there's 2 different service fees. There's an online fee for the processing, and then there's a service fee just to be able to print that ticket. Across the board, that's about $1 no matter what you're doing. But when you go through eTix online or you go through the box office, which is still eTix, there's an additional fee on top of that, yes. So you would see an additional increase on another ticket.
All right, so my other question is, it talks frequently about the RAO policy. I could not find that policy and would like to know what that policy states.
Absolutely. That RAO policy is being finished and is being sent back and forth between the RAOs and the PAC. It's more of an internal working policy. That internal working policy talks about who do you contact to work out different lighting things that you might need? Who do you contact when you need to work out putting your tickets on sale? How do you work through your marketing, credit, and promotion type items? It's a ever-changing document, but it memorializes all of the who, what, when, where, how within the building, and it will be available most likely in the next 30 days. We're just finalizing those details.
Have we had that policy before?
Yeah, that policy has always been standing. It was a very limited policy before. We started it in 2017. It was about a one-page document. And as we negotiated and talked through with all of the organizations, it was clear from both the city perspective and the resident artist perspective that we wanted to memorialize all of the details. So if I'm not here one day, or Stacia's not, or somebody comes in to the symphony that isn't familiar with how to book the pack and what's going on, they could simply turn to this and be able to follow along and have all the steps in front of them.
In the Jet City MOU, it says that they will provide one free public event at the PAC. Can you define what that could possibly be?
One free public event, or that they will be at one free public
It
event?
says that they will provide one free public event at the PAC.
May I ask what item
So
or what section you're under?
I can't pull it up on my iPad right now.
I see under section 3E that states the Jet Cities or representative talent of the Jet Cities will perform at one free public event hosted by the city or OVG 360 at the PAC each year at no charge to the city or OVG 360. Performance shall be on a mutually agreeable date.
Yes, so what is that?
They would perform at no charge to us, either at State of the City, at one of the PAC's performances. They might perform in the lobby. They performed at the grand opening, those types of things. That's their representatives, either a portion of them, or they may come and put up a table and a stand and hand out flyers, but they will be present at least one event each year.
And then my last question is, Jet Cities generally doesn't perform at the PAC.
They have not performed at the PAC since about 2019. Yes, that is correct. They'll be coming back to the Performing Arts and Events Center.
So one of their events that they do is a pie social? Will that be allowed at the PAC?
That will be allowed at the PAC. They're working with Stacia right now to work out those parameters and how to make that happen, so that way they can host that event at the Performing Arts.
Will they be allowed to bring in their own pies as they normally do?
There are some health department parameters around those, but desserts, there is typically negotiations that happen with a lot of different events, particularly galas or fundraisers where desserts are allowed to be brought in.
I would really encourage that we allow them to bring in those desserts because this is a fundraiser for them.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what's being done right now. We're just making sure that health department regulations are being followed.
Okay, I would really encourage that. I don't want to see them potentially have to pay for desserts when they haven't had to do that before. Thank you.
All right, Councilor McDaniel?
Yeah, two questions on this one. The first one is, the other MOUs actually have a financial amount assigned to it. This one just says the 115 fund. Is there a reason why we don't know what the amount is, or when will we know what the amount will be for that particular group?
I apologize for not including that in there. Their approximate is about $26,000 for the year.
Okay, thank you. And then I shot some emails, an email out that you did respond to. I do have one follow-up question on that one.
Absolutely.
The last question I had was, will any of the funds raised by these groups paid performance to be used in revenue calculations for the OVG 360 performance bonus? The ticket sales for this group performance will not be included in the revenue calculations, but it sounds like some ticket parts will be added to it from what I just heard.
The service fee will count as revenue generation, of course. If they sell 100 tickets and there's $100 in revenue kept, that will be part of the revenue generation. But the ticket sales, so if they sell a ticket for $20, the only thing that's being counted is that $1 of the service fee, not
Okay.
the additional revenue.
So ticket sale is separate, you guys don't add the extra ad? Okay, my assumption was, I was trying to get everything understood on that one. So ticket sales, when they sell a ticket, no, but any add-on cost would be associated to it?
Every time a ticket is sold, there is a service fee, no matter what. So that is considered a ticket sale. But they're broken down in the P&L separately. So you'll see ticket revenue, and then you'll see service fees. And so service fees are counted into a revenue calculation, but a ticket or a ticket sale, so the remaining of that ticket sale would not be from one of these groups.
All right. If I could have those kind of things added in the detail next time, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, council, any other questions? All right, Councilor Walsh?
I move approval of the proposed memorandum of understanding.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Thank you very much, Autumn. All right, now we are on to item F, Federal Way Symphony Orchestra MOU. Autumn, once again, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Farrell. Items F, G, and H were all pulled from the consent agenda from FEDRAC. These items are all memorandums of understanding for the Federal Way Symphony Orchestra, Federal Way Youth Symphony, and the Federal Way Chorale. It was found that there was a slight discrepancy in Section 3 under where we listed who was responsible. This is a memorandum of understanding between the city and these organizations. So the change that was made is to not assign signatory to OVG, but to keep that within the city. Those changes have been made and are within your packet and is the only adjustment to those 3 MOUs. And I'm happy to answer any other questions.
All right, Councilor Walsh, any questions?
Are we able to make one motion for the 3 of them, or do they need to be separate motions?
3 separate motions.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a separate, it's
Okay.
important we do them separately.
All right, with item F, I move approval of the proposed memorandum of understanding.
Second.
There's been a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. Item G, Federal Way Youth Symphony Orchestra Memorandum of Understanding. Autumn?
And the same goes for this one. There was one discrepancy in Section 3 that has been adjusted to remove OVG from signatory. Any other questions?
Right. On item G, I move approval of the proposed memorandum of understanding.
Second.
Okay. Been a motion, a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. Item H, Federal Way Chorale Memorandum of Understanding.
Same goes for Federal Way Chorale. Section 3, we've removed OVG 360 from signatory, and it is only the city.
On item H, I move approval of the proposed memorandum of understanding.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you all.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Yeah, please.
We
Yes, sir.
passed them so fast. I just wanted to make sure everybody understands that this is a way that we're giving back to the arts community, where before this was charged or was maybe not affordable, and all the lobbying not lobbying, but the comments we've had about supporting the arts, and it's not always money, it's access to facilities, and this has been I've never seen us do this before, that I remember in all the years, and so I think there's a great compliment to collaboratively working with the parks and the arts and this council to actually fund our volunteer groups that perform, that people like to hear, like to see, and make it a better place for the arts.
Well, Councilmember, I really appreciate you saying that. I was just about to say something. This is the first time that we've done something like this, and I think that we're being responsive to what we're hearing from our commissioners, from the arts community. There's a columnist who's been talking about this. We listen and we're hearing, and this is us being responsive to those concerns. We have such devoted community partners and people that are doing this. We've got great staff. Thank you, Autumn, for all the work that you do, Stacia does, and your team over in Parks, John, and over at the PAC and throughout. But this was a way that we thought was essentially a way to really reach out and let those individuals, performing groups know just how appreciated they are. So thank you very much, Councilmember and council members. All right, thank you very much. Okay, item 10, ordinances, first reading. This was the carryover from the last item from the earlier in the meeting. First reading, item A, Council Bill 881, ordinance of the 2023-24 biennial budget amendment. Presentation was made earlier during public hearing. Is there any public comment?
I don't have anyone signed up, Mayor, no.
Okay. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 881, Ordinance 2023-2024 Biennial Budget Amendment, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget.
All right. Councilmember Tran, do you have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the September 3rd, 2024 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passed unanimously. All right, item B, Council Bill 882, ordinance setting municipal court judge salary. Presentation from Brian Davis, the city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. proposed before you is an ordinance modifying the language in the code that sets our municipal judges, municipal court judges' salary. Right now, the language is that it's set at 95% of the district court judge's salary. We looked into the workload of our municipal court judges, both in terms of the volume and the complexity of what they do, and we found it to be about, from a respectable level, the same as what a district court judge does, and therefore we are proposing to amend the language in the code that would compensate them at the same as a district court judge. The impact to the budget is about $24,000 this year, and that would be adjusted with cost of living increases and so forth, as with all of our other employees on an annual basis. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Okay, let's see. Stephanie, is there any public comment?
No, Mayor, I don't have anyone signed up or online.
Okay, would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 882.
Thanks, Brian. Sorry.
Council Bill 882, ordinance setting municipal court judge salary, and ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to fixing the salary of municipal court judges, amending Federal Revised Code 229050.
Okay, Councilmember Tran.
I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the September 3rd, 2024 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Thank you very much, and thanks again, Brian. Okay, item C, Council Bill 883, ordinance revising Federal Way Revised Code 8.50.1010 relating to parking recreational vehicles on city streets. We'll have a presentation from Kent Van Alstine, our Assistant City Attorney. Kent?
Good evening again. So this is an ordinance regarding prohibiting parking of recreational vehicles on city streets in residential zones. So a brief introduction here. Over the past year, there's been numerous recreational vehicles that have parked for extended periods of time on city streets, both in the residential areas as well as in non-residential areas. And frequently, these recreational vehicles are quite run down, and they can degrade the appearance of the city to both residents and visitors, and can also contribute to parking and safety issues as well. So a little bit of background here. The council's already taken steps to regulate parking of RVs this year. In March of 2024, the council passed Ordinance 24983, which prohibited parking of RVs on city streets, except in residential areas, so all streets that weren't in residential areas. So this ordinance would also prohibit parking of RVs on city streets in the residential areas, with a certain exception that was discussed at the Land Use and Transportation Committee, which would accept, in other words, allow parking of RVs on city streets in residential areas when that RV is parked in front of the RV operator's home, specifically for loading and unloading for a period of up to 48 hours. So that's a change from the LUTC version that has been effectuated now in the language of the proposed ordinance that's in your packet. So this ordinance is a companion to another ordinance proposing changes to Title 19 that will make it easier for residents, to park RVs legally on their own property. And so this ordinance, if you remember at LUTC, there was a presentation directly after my presentation by Keith Niven, the Community Development Director, regarding the changes to 19 to make it easier to park RVs on private property. You are not going to hear that same presentation tonight because Keith Niven is in Aruba on vacation. However, what I want to highlight for the council here is due to kind of the legal idiosyncrasies of these two specific ordinances, one ordinance is going to have a 5-day effective date, and the other ordinance is going to have a 30-day effective date. And because of that, despite the fact that you're going to hear these two ordinances at two separate council meetings, they're actually going to go into effect at almost exactly the same time. So we're not going to have a period of time where people can't park them on city streets and also can't park them very easily on their own private property. So I just want to make that clear. Even though these presentations aren't being done on the same council session, effectively, they will be effective at the same time. So the options here are to forward the proposed ordinance to second reading on September 3rd, or do not forward it, or forward it with modifications. The mayor's recommendation is option 1.
All right, thank you, Kent. You may want to stay close here just until we get this done. Is there any public comment, Stephanie?
No, Mayor, I don't have anyone signed up.
All right, Councilmember McDaniel?
Yeah, I happened to be on Zoom and I had to leave from the airport during this one in the conversation, and literally the new dark blue is the part that I was out for. My question on this one is originally this is the same kind of appliance that we had to the commercial were 48 hours. How are we planning to monitor this scenario? If I drove 2 blocks away from my house, there's gonna be 4 or 5 RVs parked in front of their place, and they're not for 48 hours. So my concern on that one is by having this little 48-hour loophole in there, how are we gonna be planning to monitor that one, and then also enforcement of that? Are they allowed to drive around and repark it after 24 hours, or what's?
And I'll echo some of the comments that I made at LUTC, which is to say that adding this into the ordinance is going to make it quite difficult to enforce. It will be much easier to enforce an ordinance that does not have an exception for this purpose. But the drawback is then you don't have any exception for loading or unloading on the street right next to your home. So it's a bit of a tension between being facilitative of people's loading and unloading, and tension between that and being easier to enforce or less easy to enforce. This is going to be quite difficult. I think one of the things that can be easily sussed out is whether the RV is in front of the RV operator's home or not. That's probably something that can be verified relatively easily. But tracking the 48-hour period is going to be challenging, I would say. And to your point about moving them, if they move the RV 50 feet forward and they're still in front of the property line, then they're probably okay for another 48 hours after that, which is kind of, again, the drawback of all parking ordinances that have a time limit associated with them to some degree.
Gotcha. My 2 cents on this one is I'll be voting against it just because of that one. And I feel anybody who has a vehicle, they're going to park in front of it no matter what the law is to fill it up and leave. So I feel this loophole is not even moving forward in the direction I'd like to. So thank you.
All right, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I had the same question about the 48 hours. I can just see some tension in neighborhoods over that. My other question that I brought up at the LUTC meeting about this was the woman who came to speak about this, Barbara, and I appreciate her bringing this to our attention, mentioned that the operators would be potentially having an electrical cord going from the house to the RV to charge it. And I had concerns about safety and going over a public sidewalk, and what potentially are the pitfalls of that, and is there anything we can do to make sure that we're, as a city, not held responsible if someone trips on the electrical cord and gets injured?
Sure, and I have a few thoughts about that, which aren't necessarily easy answers to your questions, but just a few thoughts for your consideration. The first one is that currently in the city, we allow RVs to be parked on city streets. So currently, as of today, somebody could run a power cord over a sidewalk onto an RV and plug it in and park that RV on the street and do that right now. So if anything, this bill is going to make it, is going to narrow the number of situations where that would occur. That's the first thing. The second thing is that there are also other city laws which prohibit obstructing rights of way, including sidewalks. And so it's possible that that person, and this could also be relevant also to the city's potential liability, we could say that, well, you can't set up a power cord in a way that creates a trip hazard on a sidewalk. That's probably a public nuisance under other aspects of the code. So that's a second thing. And then the third thing I would say is that obviously people sue the city and name the city as a named party all the time for any number of reasons. I don't think that having an electrical cord for loading and unloading of an RV is high on the list of things that we would be likely to be sued for. But nonetheless, to your point, it absolutely is something that we could be sued for today, yesterday, and after this bill is passed as well.
My concern is we're allowing them to park on the street, I mean, very specifically for 48 hours. And
I would also say, and I believe I said something like this at LUTC, but if passed, this would I'm confident in saying that this would be one of the most stringent laws with respect to parking of RVs in a city of cities in this area. So this will probably make us less liable than most cities for that specific instance that you're talking about.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Councilmember Dovey, then Councilmember Walsh.
Yeah, I think, as we talk about this ordinance, we asked to move motorhomes off public streets for safety and vagrants and all sorts of different reasons for policing. And then we came down to the residential area where those devices, going to go, and they're going to go into the residential areas if they're not parking in commercial streets, if they're not owned by somebody in that neighborhood. So we don't want that to become the next place that all the people come up here in the front of and talk at the microphone and say, hey, we have 7 motorhomes in my neighborhood and they're parked there and there's nothing we can do about it because there is nothing on the books to enforce anything. And right now they can park there, so I think the discussion about putting a plug-in to charge it or different things like that is not really a valid reason not to do this, because they're doing it already if they're parking in the neighborhoods. What I think we're trying to do is say, we're not going to tolerate motorhomes in neighborhoods in front of people's houses that aren't authorized, that aren't there, but we want to make it so the owner of a motorhome can park, which will be the next part, can park in their lot or in their driveway or their parking area. But if you're going to have a motorhome and it's in a storage unit and you decide you're going to go to the beach for 2 weeks and you bring it in to load it up, you need to have some amount of time to load it up and get it ready and go. And then when you come home, you got to have time to clean it up, move it out, and take it back to where it was. So originally, we were talking 24 hours, and it was made the comment that that's maybe not enough. You work 8 hours, you come home, you get ready, and you're going to leave in the next morning or whatever. So you need more than 24 hours. So I believe that we have to have a limit of them, and that's why we picked 48 hours, I believe. It wasn't scientific. It could have been 36 hours, but it's got to be more than 12. And then make it so that we can actually police it. And somebody moving their motorhome and letting it sit for 48 hours, I don't think that's going to fly. I mean, people do it with their cars, but a motorhome, this is a different thing. And if they move it up the street in front of my house or your house or the neighbor's house, those neighbors are they're not loading it. It's a derelict and it needs to go. So I support this wholeheartedly. I think it's good for our city. I mean, if we move it to the second reading and, some debate and it said, hey, it should be 32 hours or whatever that is, I mean, I'm open to that. But if we don't pass this, I think we're missing a golden opportunity to make our city one that people don't live in the street, in the neighborhoods, in motorhomes like in downtown Seattle.
That's where Walsh.
Yeah, and I'm kind of along that same line. I mean, this ordinance, is it a perfect ordinance? No. But is there anything that can be done to make it a perfect ordinance? No. And I think that it's a lot better than what we currently have. And so I would encourage Councilmember McDaniel and everyone else to vote in favor of it, because it improves things over the current situation, and we're not going to find a perfect solution. But I think that this is a good solution. Let's not let the perfect get in the way of the good.
Okay, Councilmember Sapadowson?
Okay.
Oh, you're.
Sorry, sir. Yeah. Sorry, I was eating my dessert. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
My concern about this is, I think we're adding an undue burden on people who do own these homes, because now we want them to put them in storage. If I were to own one, honestly, my driveway wouldn't even I don't have enough room. So I'll have to park it in front of my house, and now I'm not allowed to do that. And so if the concern is about people just leaving their RVs where they don't belong, then I think it'll be up to us to call for help, or for police to ask them to remove them. So if I own that, I think I should be allowed to park in front of my house. But I think we could do, where you could have stickers on their cars, and if they don't have stickers, they don't belong there. But I think a blanket disallowing, I don't agree with, because it just doesn't make sense. If someone buys an RV, they want to enjoy it whenever they want and park it where, as long as it's legal, where they could park it. So I don't want to make it illegal. And we've heard several people who came and testified during, the last several months, stating their concerns, because they do own these, and so I don't think I can support it the way it's written.
Fair enough. And I do just want to point out again that this is a companion to a different ordinance that will make it much easier than it currently is to park and store an RV on your own private property. So, for instance, I don't know exactly what your specific lot configuration is, but the proposed ordinance, not the one that's in front of you right now, but the one that Keith is bringing and will be at the next council meeting, would allow you to store an RV in your side yard or even your backyard, in addition to in your driveway, so long as you meet certain criteria. So that may not be functionally possible for your lot or for many lots in the city. But I do just want to point out that the intent here is to be stricter with respect to the right-of-way and much more lenient with respect to allowing RVs to be parked on your own private property.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember McDaniel?
Yeah, my comments is back to what you guys had said earlier. I agree we need to have something in there. My problem, like I said, is the 48 hours. Most people do what they want to do anyways. Doesn't matter what we write in law, no matter what this ordinance says. We are now codifying that you have 48 hours. If someone's going to have an RV and is going to load it, whether we have the 48, 24, 32, they're going to park it until they're ready to leave and move on. By not having the 48 in there, they're still going to do it, but yet it also gives us easier access to enforce it. If we do the 48, then we have to knock on the door. Is this your vehicle? Can you prove it's registered? Then we mark down the time. I find that to be an administrative headache. While it's not having the 48, and if they do it, it's a knock on the door, move your vehicle. If we have to come by tomorrow and it's still here, it's a ticket. I just feel that having that 48 hour, people are going to abuse it. That's just bluntly how I feel about it. They're going to abuse it because that's how I feel people look at the law sometimes. They look for the loopholes in it. So I agree we need to move forward with it, but my issue is with just having the 48 in there gives them that potential chance to hook onto that rule.
So I would agree with the 48 hours. I can just see if I have a neighbor that doesn't like me and I have an RV and I have it parked there, they think it's longer than 48 hours, they're going to be calling someone in the city who's either, is it police because it's on the street?
Yeah, it'll likely be police or code enforcement, and I depending exactly on where it is, it might be partially street, partially private property, but yes, likely police.
We're going to have the other ordinance that allows them to park on their own property. If they're going to pull out and pack, I think they're still going to do it, no matter what. I don't know that the 48 hours is necessary.
Okay, great. All right, well, Councilmember Dovey, let's start with you. Do you have a motion?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, hold on. Did you say there were no public comments?
No public comment, Mayor.
And would you
Brady.
please read the city ordinance?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Council Bill 883, ordinance revising Federal Revised Code 850010 relating to parking recreational vehicles on city streets.
I'd like to make a motion.
An ordinance of the City of Federal, Washington relating to recreational vehicles. Sorry. An ordinance of the City of Federal, Washington relating to recreational vehicles parking on city streets, amending Federal Revised Code 850010.
All right, Councilmember Daniel?
Yeah, I'd actually like to make a motion to remove the 48 hours.
Okay, so an amendment to remove.
Excuse me,
48.
a motion to make an amendment to the
Okay.
ordinance to remove that section.
All right, is there a second to that
Mayor,
amendment?
point of order. We need a main motion.
I
before
think we need to
amend.
make a motion before we can make any amendments.
Very good,
Exactly.
let's
Thanks
do
for the
that.
education.
Okay, I'll call on you next. Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah.
Take two.
I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the September 3, 2024 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Now, Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to amend the ordinance by removing the 48-hour clause.
I second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to amend to remove the 48-hour clause. Is there any discussion on that amendment? Councilmember Dovey?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss that. Legislating from the dais is always has risks. This is going to come back for second reading. And so I oppose the motion because I don't think it's been thought through other than, hey, I don't want 48 hours. And I would suggest that we don't pass the motion, the amendment, knowing that it's going to come back in 2 weeks, where we can have some discussion with our legal department, maybe our code enforcement, maybe our police, and come up with what the number is. Because I don't believe it's never zero. It might be less than 48. But that would be, I would oppose the motion going out of the gate. I'd be open to discussing it and putting it on at the second reading. But that would be my comment.
Okay, let's go back actually, Councilmember Walsh, let's have you weigh in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I oppose the motion also, because I don't think that we should be making the expectation that people need to be breaking the law in order to do something that they're going to do. And we're basically setting up that expectation that, yeah, we recognize you're going to break the law. You know, just not follow the ordinance in order to do what you need to do.
Okay, Councilor McDaniel.
Yeah, 48 hours, I believe, was mentioned in the last committee out of nowhere. So I'll go with the 48 hours, 32 hours, 24 hours. I don't think the time is going to be relevant for the most part. The fact that people break laws daily, we all break laws whether we know it or not because there's so many of them. I don't think that's going to be a deterring factor either. I mean, people are human beings and they're going to do whatever they want. My big problem, and like I said, is putting this into law locks it in at 48 hours. And that is what I disagree with. I'd rather have the flexibility to either have it get rid of right away, or I'll come back in 24, 48 hours, see if it's still there. I mean, that's literally just what I'm looking for here. So, I mean, stick with what you stick with. I mean, what you guys think and what you guys believe in, I'm not going to push back against that. I'm just going to use the apparatus that's been given to me to make decisions. So I thank you guys for your honesty, though.
All right, thank you. Councilor Tran?
Thank you, Mayor. If I remember correctly, I think the reason we put this 48 hours in here is because we want to make the rule that reasonable to people, and especially to support the owners of the RVs. Just like Councilor Dovey mentioned earlier, if you have an RV and you want to load it up or unload it after your trip, you need some time to park your vehicle so that you can do those things. And that's why we want to make the ordinance that reasonable. But, you know, without this, I think we will see more and more RVs parking everywhere on our city. So, and I agree with Councilmember Walsh that this is not perfect. It's far from perfect, but this is better than nothing. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Walsh?
Yeah, just a question for Kent. And I think I know the answer. But would it improve things or make things worse, instead of saying 24 hours, say, while actively loading or unloading?
I think that will make things even more difficult from an enforcement perspective, because then we have to prove whether they're quote-unquote actively doing it, which seems quite difficult. Is active, they do something once every 30 minutes? Is it, I feel like that actually makes it harder to enforce, unfortunately.
That's the answer that I expected, but
I
just wanted to
suspected
ask
you
it.
suspected that was the
Anyway,
answer.
so.
And Mayor, can I make one more comment?
Yes, sir.
On this ordinance, the reason, I think I was the one that proposed 48 or 24, I think that's where it started. And I actually went around to a couple people at motorhomes. I'm not a motorhome guy, so it doesn't affect me one way or the other. And I talked to one of my neighbors about it, he said, well, if you don't give any time, then it's going to be a problem. And he's the one who suggested 48 hours, because he's a motorhome guy. You know, if it needs to be 24, but anyway, I'm just saying, the hours are there, they came up that way because that came from at least 2 people that I talked to that said, hey, we need time to unload, load, you know, we got things going on, so that's why that was proposed that way.
And this doesn't apply to campers, right? I mean, or is motorhomes
I think
Or does it-
campers would count as recreational vehicles as defined. There's a specific definition in there that I have to look out to confirm, but I do believe it's campers as well.
Okay, all right, got it, thank you. Just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Thank you very much. Okay.
Mayor? what-
Yes. Sorry.
We have somebody from code enforcement here. Would it be appropriate to ask her? what
Probably
the-
police.
Okay, all right. Or police, I mean, let's get some input from the people who would be enforcing it.
There's an RCW state law that says a vehicle can't be on a public street for more than 24 hours. But from an enforcement perspective, we usually give like 72 hours if we get a complaint. So generally speaking, an officer can be proactive doing parking enforcement, but generally speaking, it's complaint-driven in City of Federal Way. If somebody complains, but either way, whether it's 24 or 48, no time, I think it's doable. It would be, officer following up. If an RV is on a residential street and it's there for day in and day out, we're gonna find a way to find a solution to address that. But I think a motorhome, so you're gonna have basically kind of two laws. We can follow the RCW on a 24-hour notice, but officers are gonna use discretion. If somebody's going camping and they're loading up and then they're a couple of days, and most likely neighbors aren't gonna complain either if it's just their, a few days. But if it's their day in and day out, somebody will eventually complain and we'll deal with it. And if it's on a private property, we'll get assistance from code enforcement to address it. So either way, I think it's doable from a police perspective.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember McDaniel. Oh, no, sorry, Councilmember Sapadasa.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't own one either, and I don't ever plan to do so. But if we're gonna have this conversation, I still feel like we're putting undue burden on people. How about we talk about grandfathering those who already have RVs? Because moving forward in the future, if I buy one, then I know the ordinance. But people who already purchased and have them, we're adding a layer to what wasn't there before. And so maybe I'll propose that we allow those people who've had it already, who already have RVs, to continue to park wherever they want, or, in front of their house. I don't mean wherever, and the new owners will then have to follow the new ordinance. I'm just trying to make it easier for those who already have RVs and are concerned about where to park, because they've been allowed to do how they've had it in the past. So that would be my proposal.
All right, thank you.
Oh, it doesn't matter how we vote, I just know that I have at least 3 or 4 neighbors who are gonna be affected by this, so I'm ready to vote.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, let's see here, and again, no city comment. Did the city clerk, did you read the ordinance title?
I did, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, Councilmember Dovey, do you, actually, this is on, we're now voting on the amendment.
Correct, yep.
Okay, so we're voting on the amendment to, the Councilmember McDaniel's motion was to exclude or to essentially excise the 48-hour rule or provision. Council President.
So, for my 2 cents, I think we have to have some limit on it. I mean, I can see those people who will say, well, golly, I'm just going to keep this here until I get somebody complaining. We have had people in the past who have complained about large vehicles in cul-de-sacs, which makes it very difficult when somebody is trying to park or turn around or have some new folks coming into the cul-de-sac area. So there's lots of areas in the city that are different. Some have large lots, some don't, some have different issues with parking. Say you're backing out of your driveway and there's this huge vehicle behind you. It's difficult to maneuver, especially if there's cars coming. So I think we do need to have some kind of an hour limit. 48 hours, so be it. I'm fine with that. But I don't think we can move forward with no limit. But I think that's a good suggestion, Councilmember McDaniel and Councilmember Honda. And I understand Councilmember Sapadasa, and I just think that we need to have some kind of a limit so people don't feel that they can park whatever they want, wherever they want. Thank you.
Councilmember McDaniel, I see your light on. Are you ready? Okay. All right. There's been healthy debate. All those in favor of the amendment to exclude the 48-hour rule?
Aye.
Nay.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. 7?
Councilmember Safa-Dawson.
Aye.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Aye.
Councilmember Honda.
Aye.
Councilmember Tran.
Nay.
Councilmember Walsh.
Nay.
Councilmember Dovey.
Nay.
Council President Kochmar.
Nay.
Motion for the amendment fails 4-3.
As to the main motion, all those in favor of the main motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Councilmember Safa-Dawson.
Nay.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Nay.
Councilmember Honda.
Nay.
Councilmember Tran.
Yay.
Councilmember Walsh.
Aye.
Councilmember Dovey.
Aye.
Council President Kochmar.
Aye.
Just clarifying, Councilmember Tran, your vote was?
I'm sorry, I mean yes.
Yes, okay, that's what I thought. All right, main motion
Sorry.
carries 4-3.
All right. Okay, that concludes. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for stepping in. Our city attorney wasn't feeling quite well today, so thank you very much for stepping in today on such short notice. Okay, let's do council reports. Councilmember Safa-Dawson, we'll start with you.
I have nothing to report on. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember McDaniel.
Just want to say thank you to the commissioners that came in today. Also, the community fest this weekend was pretty bad. I was going to say something inappropriate, so I'm going to cut the last part out. It was really good.
I got it. I got you. I knew you were going to say it.
Yeah, good thing I caught myself. Doesn't happen very often. But that was good. And then National Night Out, I meant to go talk to a couple residents and hung out a few places and actually saw one of my old houses and talked to some neighbors who remembered when I lived there. So that was kind of cool. I did go to Montana, though, during this little break time, and it is it's a nice little fresh breath of air over there. And then coming back, definitely can see the different changes that we have in the city. I do hope to talk to the council president and see what we can do with the new Supreme Court laws to help with some of these new temporary residents who I see coming in a lot more off the buses and stuff like that. So I'd like to see what we can do as a council.
Recording in
about that.
progress.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. Today we had our service club meeting, and the service club meeting is something we've just started up again since COVID. It is where those who are in service clubs or agencies that help get funding from service clubs meet. We meet here at City Hall once a month on the, today's the second Tuesday of the month at 9:30. Anyway, I would like to talk about a few things that came out of that. One is the Kiwanis Club just had our salmon bake. We served 720 meals, sold over 800 tickets, but we did have a parking issue, as it's not unusual to have parking issues at Still Lake Park. But this year there was a soccer tournament going on, and so we had less parking than we anticipated. The mayor and I discussed it during the event. Thank you for listening to me, and it is what it is. But anyway, the Kiwanis Club also does another fundraiser. We are doing our 33rd annual charity golf tournament, North Shore Golf Course, September 6th. There's an 8 a.m. start. I understand last year, Mayor, that you were a golfer and that this city had a good team.
We had a great team, but when I showed up for this, what I did not know was that the North Shore Golf Course had been burglarized and all of the left-hand clubs were taken. I barely had room in my trunk for all the, no, I'm kidding. But no, I wasn't actually able to play because all of the left-handed clubs were gone. It was like, I think everybody was probably better off. But yes, we had a great team. Actually, Desiree Winkler with Public Works was our expert. So I may, actually, our emergency manager, Kevin Pillay, is going to let me use his left hand.
Oh, awesome.
So I'll be able to do it this year.
Awesome, that is fabulous. If you're interested in attending, it's $150 per single player or $560 for a foursome. I don't golf. I was going to start golfing the year I got hurt, and I actually had to learn how to walk again, so golfing
Recording in progress.
was out of the question at that point. Kevin Crossan at kevin.crossan@southkingfire.org, or Beverly Triplett at bevtrip@comcast.net, or myself, or any other Kiwanian you might know can help you purchase tickets. They're online. The Repair Cafe is doing a Fix-It event on Saturday, August 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I can't say how lucky and fortunate we are to have the South King Tool Library in Federal Way. I know it took years with the city working through permitting and finding a location and funding, but we are so fortunate to have that in our community. Anyway, that is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Saturday, August 24th. There will be shredding. Things will be fixed if you need things to be fixed. And they even do sewing repairs, so it's pretty cool to go there. It was mentioned earlier by Bob Darrigan, but MSC is doing a backpack giveaway. It's the first time they've done this. It will be at MSC Food Bank on August 30th, 2024, 1 to 3 until supplies run out. It's being sponsored by Project Gift Southwire, and it's in partnership with MSC and Communities in Schools, which is a really important organization in Federal Way that helps our students. And I would like to say happy birthday to Councilmember Hong Tran in 2 days. Happy birthday.
All right, thank you. Actually, John, do you want to say something about the parking?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that we're meeting with Jim Chafee from the Kiwanis to come up with some creative parking solutions for that. But that is a normal Saturday. That's there every single Saturday. It's like that. We close the gates at 10:30 in the morning on a warm day because the park is loved, loved, loved. And that's a good problem to have, but that's very common, what you experienced at the Salmon Bake. Even worse on Saturdays and Sundays.
It was Wednesday.
I know. So I'm telling you, that's every weekend without a Salmon Bake.
Yeah.
That's how busy the park is. But that's a good thing. But we're working with Jim to come up with a creative parking solution that'll work for everybody.
For Kids Day, when I went to Kids Day, we parked up in the old soccer or baseball fields. I don't know what you call that area.
That's site number 5. That's one of the solutions that we'll
Okay.
be doing. But we have some other things in mind too. But we'll be meeting with Jim next week.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
welcome.
you doing that, because next year we're going to sell more tickets
There
and
you go.
serve more people. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Councilor Tran.
Thank you, Councilmember Honda. Just so you know, I will be turning 45 in 2 days, so.
Alert the media.
Yeah.
He's
And
discovered a time machine.
And I really enjoy my retirement. So this is my 6 weeks into my retirement, and I enjoy every moment of it. Actually busier than I'm working full-time. But I don't have this pressure about the office, about the personnel issue that I have to solve, the budget, and all the chaos within the office. I don't have many bosses to report to except only one at home. So I really enjoy that. I should have done this a long time ago. So anyway, that's my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, sounds good. Councilor Walsh.
Well, he's turning 45. People don't think I look a day over 85. So, so I was just gonna also say that if the city needs another person for the foursome for golf, I mean, I've only been golfing a couple of times, but I got so much higher score than anybody else that, so anyway. No, on a more serious note, I would like to thank the commissioners for the work that they do, and it was a great meeting with them today. And also that the idea of once again, having a city parade again, I am all for that, and I would gladly volunteer to serve on the committee to help figure that out.
Okay,
So,
great.
And that is my report.
Thank you very much. Bill, let's work on that. Bill and Brian, let's work on that tomorrow. Thank you very much. We need to get a committee together. Councilmember Dovey?
Speaking about high scores, the City of Federal Way Speed Croquet Team, which I haven't said anything about, that I got to participate in, thanks to Bill over here organizing it, was not last this year. we actually got a lower score than somebody else. And if you've never been to speed croquet, next year when the Rotary does it, it's worth checking out. It's, I don't know how the school district does it in less than, I don't know, 8 minutes or whatever it is. But anyway, we had a team, and we weren't last, but we weren't first by a long way.
But you had fun.
It was fun, and they had great beagle puppies there to give away, but my wife wouldn't let me have one, so we're still dogless. That's my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Council President?
No report, but I do want to tell Councilmember Daniel, I've been worried about that as well, people coming off the buses, and I will follow up on that. Thank you.
All right, I want to say a very special thank you to the council. Great job today. Great debate, great discussions. Staff, great job. Thank you so much for all you do. Great presentations, and everyone be careful out there. And we've got, I don't think we do not have a second council meeting in August, so see you in September. We are, exactly. We are adjourned.